Yo, what's good my fellow deadheads? Your overlord has returned with yet another JJK Phantom Parade video. Today we are going to be talking about some content that we could be seeing hitting the game during the second anniversary or during the sync celebration. One of these days I'll get it down, chat. But I made a video recently talking about the characters that we could see for the lineup around the sync celebration. So now I want to talk about maybe some of the characters that we can see for the, or not characters, some of the events that we may see for the sync celebration, or even some of the things that we can see for the sync celebration, or like some of the ways that contents can be transformed or changed for the sync celebration. If you guys do like speculatory videos like this, then you can go down below, hit that like button. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every single time the dead man decides to glide, and you can comment down below and let me know what you want to know. But without further ado, we're going to get right into the video. So the first thing that I think we could see coming to the second anniversary is the fact that we do already have a story event, or Remniscence story events is what I believe it is called. Yes, Remniscence story edition. So all the Remniscence story is that the story events come back around, but when they come back around, I have not had interaction with this directly yet because I don't play the JP version too much. You can see that you can reacquire some old rewards that are already bundled up inside of this content, right? So phantom medals, cubes, experience for your characters, experience free recollection bits. You can even farm the recollection bit itself that came with the event when it originally came out, and you can farm the titles for it all over again. But they have also added on the addition of the titles, or the frames, the wheels, or the icon frames for your account PFPs, right? But my question is that when these come back around, are you capable of farming every single cube that was in this event the first time it came around? Because if so, then this is a really big W. That just means that we are able to double dip on events now and get even more cubes, like get 2 times the cubes than we would have gotten originally off the event now, because it is being reran. So very smooth W. But one thing is that we have not seen map events get a reminiscent kind of like revamp yet. So one thing that I think we could see during the second, or the sync celebration, call myself, one thing that I think we could see during the sync celebration could be reminiscent map events being added into the game as well. And if it's like you can go back through the shop again, and like on the story events, you know, you can go back through the wheels, or not wheels, but back through the pages of all the rewards. That's really great, because that is probably carrying majority of players cursed objects, and they probably don't even realize that, just because they probably go through those pages just to get the tickets and summon for the character. That's probably all they focus on. But when you pay attention to the fact that you are actually getting a lot of cursed objects from it as well, then very good to be able to go through those rewards again. But yes, map events being added to the reminiscent kind of like style, where you can come back and get borders from those too. And it's only a matter of time before they do that, because why would they only allow you to go back and get borders themed around the story events and not the map events? You know what I'm saying? Like, this looks really good, and they have some really cool quirky map events that they can definitely give us some really cool frames for. I said give me some really cool frames for. But now we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the next thing that I have here on the list. So I realized I actually didn't have anything pulled up for this, but that's because this is just an original idea that I had thought up, and I had actually talked about it in a video a very long time ago. But basically, we could have something like a domain investigation, a domain battle, right? And pretty much how the domain battle could be is that you fight these characters, and you know, they go from stages 1 to stage 4, and it'd be kind of like formidable battle, except for it literally just be centered around domains. So instead of it being curses and enemies, it could just be anybody with a domain, to make it a little bit more interesting, and to make the effects of the domains and the fights just very unique, very cool, very quirky, right? And basically it could be like, you know, stage 1 is like, maybe they use one aspect of their technique, their most commonly used aspect of their technique. So for instance, if we were using like a Gojo kind of like example, which Gojo's a bad example because his domain is kind of overpowered, but like, let's say for stage 1, Gojo's main gimmick is that he has red, and the red can do like high damage to you and just deal really high damage to your units, and could possibly one tap your units if you're not careful. Okay, cool. Then Gojo has like blue, and blue could maybe do like a debuff that makes him able to, like, because you know blue can absorb and like suck things in. Like red is like almighty force, almighty push basically. Blue is basically like almighty pull. So imagine blue gives you like a debuff and it's like constantly going in the thing or something like that. Like maybe one skill is an active ability that they focus on in the fight, the next thing it becomes a passive ability in the next part. Then for instance, third stage would be like, okay, now Gojo is using them and combining them. He has a countdown attack that leads into him doing like purple or something like that. And then, you know, fourth level of the event is like, okay, now Gojo is not only counting down to do purple, but he is counting down to do his domain, and right after he does domain, that's when purple is coming. Or maybe you have like a turn of wiggle room afterwards to try and defend against the purple. But I just think that something like that would be really cool, and that would be some really challenging content that like Japanese players and global players would all just kind of be sitting there head scratching like, huh? Like, damn, what are we even supposed to do against this? And it would definitely incentivize a new style of character, a new meta of characters. But now we can actually jump to a different point that I do have a little picture for. So the next point that I want to say is that I think we could see Curse Sweep Battle become something that at first I said that it could become something that is like free to farm, as in like no limit on how many times you can farm it in the week. But it seems like they do think that this is a very important game mode that like revolutionized the game, when I think in all reality it's just a common thing that should have been in the game in the first place, so that characters' kits were more complete. Because now the characters are getting a lot more stats, and that characters are able to get these SP buffs. Characters are feeling a lot more complete. Their kits make a lot more sense now, right? So I feel like it shouldn't be something that is time gated to like, oh, okay, we can only do this, you know, a certain number of times in the week. Now, as of current, I've paid for the Celestial Pass, so I have 2 extra runs in the week that I can do for Curse Sweep Battle, which gives me 2 extra runs on top of the 4 runs that they give you already, and then you can refill 2 extra times with your cubes to get 8 runs altogether. So you can now get 2 times the runs that you would usually get on Sunday or at the start of the week than you used to. But you just heard me say that half the things I had to do, one required me to spend cubes, the other one required me to spend actual money. So I think that we could see Curse Sweep Battle finally get to a point where you can do at least like 8 or 10 runs within the week for free. I think we should be given that as a player base, just because, like I said, this is something that completes characters' kits, just makes characters feel completely finished, and fixes a lot of moments, or what feels like moments in whenever people were producing the characters, right? But also they have already announced the SP second layer potential release, so that means that they are planning to expand even more so upon the SP system. So if they plan to expand upon it even more so, I can tell you right now, the first week that we had SP battles, right, being able to do 6 runs, if you do 6 runs and get it all the way up to like level 10, and then do the auto battle runs for the other 5 runs, right? Even if you do that, you can only get like, I think 2 characters, or maybe 3 if you're lucky, and one of the characters costs like, no, I think it's just 2 characters if even, right? That you can get completely SP'd, like with the SP buffs and everything, because the actual skill upgrades are really expensive. So it would be crazy to me for them to keep adding on to the SP system and to not add on more free-to-play ways that we can get the SP material, if that makes sense, right? So, and while I'm talking about them making this more easy to farm, or not easier to farm, but just more accessible to farm, less time-gated, or even if it is time-gated, just giving us more opportunities in the week to farm it, right? Because like all of a sudden, they could say that 20 runs is like, okay, no, that's way too many runs in the week, but it's just like, okay, imagine if we did have 20 runs, right? And now all of a sudden, that's just something that we can work into our daily farms for the day, because you could make it so that we could do 20 runs in the week, but then you could also make it so that now we have a daily mission that's like, okay, do 1 run of Curse Sweep Battle today, right? And now all of a sudden there's still a way for you to kind of like lock it down for us, because I'm very much a player who believes in the fact of, yo, if this is not giving me an actual resource after I beat the stage, then why am I doing the stage, right? So if I know that I have a mission every day of the week that is defeat the Curse Sweep Battle at least once this week, right? Or at least once today. If I have that once a day, then I'm not going to spam all 20 of my runs in that one day. I'll spam, one run in the week, and even if it does mean that I'm just going back the next day and just pressing auto skip, at least that is something that's kind of making it so that if I have to do it the next day, I'm at least thinking like, okay, since I have to do this, do I want to auto skip this, or do I want to actually do another team or something like that, or try it out, for a content creator? Like, okay, I have to do this again today, so do I want to try another team out, try to do another video on another comp that people can use for this? I don't know, right? Just gives people a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more viability with the game mode itself, and it makes the game mode feel like a little more, it feels like a lot more of a choice of us waiting to do it, day by day, versus you trying to make us wait to only do 6 runs a week, especially when people are really just trying to seriously grind their characters. They do a lot of things in JJK that make it feel like a side game, and like I really do think that once we get to the first sync celebration, finally got it, I feel like once we get there that we really could see it start to turn into more of like a full on, like I want to play this as a main game type of experience. But let's go ahead and go on to the next point. All right, guys, so I know that we just recently got enhancement stages on the global version, like not so long ago, but on the JP version, by the time the 2nd anniversary comes around for JP, that would mean that these level 7 enhancement stages have been out for an entire year, and these enhancement stages literally came out after an entire year. So it wouldn't make sense for them to add higher level enhancement stages. I feel like on my JP account, even though I don't really play it that much, even when I just randomly hop in, I feel like I'm just given a lot more random random materials, mats is what the word I was thinking of. When random mats for boosting my characters and everything, I feel like I just have a lot more experience on layaway, JP, and recollection bit experience more often than not. So I just feel like they are going to keep adding in more and more ways for you to farm these materials in excess, because obviously they are not planning on slowing down with releasing characters, or at least they are planning on slowing down probably with global, probably not slowing down with JP, because JP already has a solid rate. And honestly, if anything, I think that they would meet a rate in between both of the versions, so that characters are releasing a little bit faster on JP and it's a little bit more hype, a little bit funner, a little bit quicker paced, but then also it's a little bit more breathing room for the global version as well. But also another reason why I think they're going to add in extra experience levels or stages or whatever, right, is because one, I could see them adding higher account rank, which doesn't really matter too much for this directly, but along with higher account rank, also I could see them adding higher grade. So I made a speculation in a video a really long time ago talking about the fact that we could see grades be linked to specifically anniversaries now, because I feel like 140 is a very weird number to end up on for grades, or for max level in general, right? I feel like 150 would have made more sense, and 150 is only a level that your sweatiest of characters can reach, because you have to give them a phantom seal to reach that level. But I could see them giving us like a new story chapter, right? And because I was making the point that by the time we get to the anniversary, the Shibuya incident will basically be over. If not, it'll probably be done, so we will be moving into the next arc of the game, right? We could finally get story mode to either switch back to how it used to be, or just get a new style story mode reskin over in general, right? And with that new reskin over, to commemorate that, they could add a new grade into the game, and the new grade could increase your level by 10 levels instead of by only 8 levels, right? And they could just make grades be things linked specifically to anniversary, or honestly they could just do grade 16 on this anniversary just because it's the first sync celebration. Got that name right? But then all of a sudden your highest, most top class characters are 160, and then characters have a even more balanced out level 150, which I think just looks a lot neater as a max level for your characters. But let's continue on. So this is obviously the only memory quest that we have had. We've had this one, and then we had a rerun for this one, but I think we could finally see the first non-hidden inventory memory quest, just because memory quests are pretty chill. They give a pretty solid amount of cubes, and nobody's ever going to complain about that. They give a free recollection bit, which nobody's ever going to complain about that, unless you are one of those psychopaths that just hates free stuff. I don't know. And also, it just gives us another style of game mode outside of our typical regular, one of those two words will work, not both of them at the same time. Give us a new style of event outside of our regular story event or map event or formidable battle event. But those are events that cycle out very, very consistently. So those are events that I can see people getting tired of. Like, I was watching a Hockey Kage stream before, and he was literally talking about how, yo, they need to just completely change map events or take map events out of the game or whatever. And I was just like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you, I could feel that sentiment because map events are so tedious. Or am I thinking of story events? I mean, honestly, story events and map events are both very tedious. Map events are tedious because you have to wait a day or two to even get to the second half of all these stages and everything and get all of your, or you can get all your rewards in the first day, but not really, because you have to wait for the second day for the score battle, right? But then, you know, story events are really tedious because it's just like that brain dead, you know, like, okay, go into this battle auto, 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 until you can skip ticket everything and just get, or not ticket, they don't have skip tickets in this game, thank goodness, the amount of skipping people have to do in this game. But yeah, it's just like, also, can we consider the fact that since there's not a skip item and you can just skip naturally in the game, that is another reason why it's a side game and you can't just go in and like leave stuff to sit in auto battle. Another point, I digress. But yes, I think we could finally see our first memory quest that is a non-hidden inventory memory quest that is centered around the Shibuya incident, or maybe even centered right after the Shibuya incident for the next arcs, which would be the Calling Games arc. But that is manga stuff that we're touching on at that point. And honestly, by the time we get to the sync celebration in this game, how far away is the third season of JJK going to be, and how antsy are they going to be to get into that third season stuff? I do not know, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. How close the third season would be if it wouldn't already be out by that point. But let's go ahead and get on to some other things in the list here. So they keep adding these little pay-to-win quality of life updates where, you know, global players are just eating it up, you know, winning the biggest of W's, you know, from the chain pack to the Luck Weavers Carnival to the secret shop, you know, to the Phantom Parade pass being added into the game like as early as like day one, right? Just a lot of crazy premium sweaty things added into the game, and literally they already said that they're going to work to put things in both versions of the game that are missing from either version of the game once both of the games are synced. Now, this is something that actually started in the JP version first, and it's coming over to the global version second, or it already came over to the global version, but it came to the global version second, right? So I think that since both of the versions will be synced up, we could finally start to see premium things that are absolutely insane, but like even more insane than anything we've already seen, because they would finally be coming to both versions of the game, right? And there is always, when you add something to one version of the game versus the other version of the game, there is the sentiment of the global version can see all of this stuff, so they will definitely rage if it takes too long to get to the global version. But then there is also the sentiment of, okay, if we release this on the global version first, isn't all of our Japanese players who have been playing for a year at this point, aren't they going to be salty that they're not getting access to it first? And even still with that, they've already added so many premium things to the global version first, and some of the things aren't even pay to win. Some of them are free to play, like the wish list, for instance. And that's where I'm going to leave it at, because I can't even think of every free-to-play thing, because most of the stuff that they added, the great value packs also is another sweaty thing. Most of the stuff they added to the global version was sweaty things, which is why I think nobody was really mad about it, because it costed money. But like when you start adding more things that are like free-to-play friendly to like one version versus the other that's been waiting for stuff like that for a year, then that's when the player base is going to get salty. But I have just a few more minor points here, and then that'll be it for the video, really. There was only one time ever that they gave us an event where we could directly farm a free-to-play character, and it was the JJK0 event. And I guess maybe that's why Maki was the only free-to-play character, because it was during that event specifically, and that event was a very specific special, not inside the regular. No, I'm not gonna say continuity. Well, in real life, it was kind of like weird how it was worked into the regular continuity, but even still, right? It is a special celebration nonetheless, and that's why we had a special thing such as a free-to-play character. But what is the first sync celebration going to be? Another special celebration, an anniversary, and the most hype that we have seen on either version as of yet, right? So it would not be any doubt in my mind that we could see a free-to-play character finally make an appearance back. A free-to-play SSR maybe even, but that would be a bit much, I know. And maybe even a free-to-play SR, you know, if they want to be tame about it. But yes, I think we should see another free-to-play character, man. Like, there's no reason why we're not getting free-to-play characters, because all these new characters that come out are cracked, but like, the speed at which they are dropping them on the global version, I feel like warrants a free-to-play character. And honestly, if you speed it up any more on the JP version, then you might as well start giving them free-to-play characters too. You might as well. You barely give away free-to-play characters for the Phantom Metal Shop. You gave us Dagon, and Dagon is dog doo-doo shit. So it's just like, give us more free-to-play characters. It was a good idea when you started out doing it, and it only became a bad idea when you decided to stop doing it, because it was just like, why did you stop doing it? That was the only bad part of the idea. You decided to stop. But definitely get back to it, and please do give us more free-to-play characters, because we would love to see that. A few more points that I could just like make right here, or honestly, I'll move to the game and talk about it. So I'm actually right here in the game, and we'll go over to my profile, right? One thing that I think we will see is that they will finally just make it so that you can get really cool, really unique custom frames from getting characters to level 80 in their character growth system. And oh my gosh, I had to do a separate video on the character growth system. Mine is looking beautiful these days, and I'm getting an excellent amount of buffs to my characters from that. But yes, I think we can see frames finally added to characters at level 80, and it's going to be much more than these basic frames right here, because these frames they just kind of like gave us for free. I think it's going to be something a little bit more unique to the character, just because you have to go all the way past rank 60 to rank 80 to get it. And like at rank 60, you're literally getting a character title that is like super specific to the character, something like super like their catchphrase or something like that. You can think of it as that, right? So I definitely would not find it hard to believe that they give us like a super unique, super cool frame based around their technique. Like for instance, right, the frame for Gojo could be like his hand, but instead of it being like his hand like this, it could actually be his hand, and you could see like, or it could be like the 6 eyes at the bottom of it or something like that, and you could literally see like a dome for like infinity around your character frame or something like that. And then the last thing that I want to see during the celebration that would be really cracked, which honestly, I'll be real with you, I don't know that they would do this, because this would give so many people like so much free stuff for no reason right now. But this will be great for the player base. They should definitely do an update and overhaul it so that you can come here, and instead of it just being characters that started releasing at a certain point, they should make it so that you can get rewards for every character in your account, because that'll just give so many people who have been playing the game for a long time just easy rewards for being loyal players. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, and it's not even that many rewards you're giving away, because you got to think, for one character getting to 9,000 CP, which I'm still working on all my characters, that one character, you're getting 380 cubes. That would mean I have to get like 8 or 9 characters like to 9,000 CP just to get one multi off of that. So it's really not even that many rewards as you think. Now it would be a lot of these and a lot of AP packs, but I mean, like, if you've already put in the effort to get the character to that CP, you've already probably used some chaotic Jujutsu crystals. You've definitely used your stamina in some part of the grind. So it's just like, how crazy would it really be to give us back rewards for all the characters that we're already working on in the game, when the rewards that we will get back for working on those characters aren't even like one fifth of like what we've used to work on that character in the first place. But that is my ideas for everything that we could see for the 2nd anniversary. And guys, obviously there's nothing that is off the table. The Sync celebration is going to be, like I said, the craziest, mightiest celebration we have seen on this game thus far on either versions, whether you were talking to East or West Coast. You know what I'm saying? So leave any ideas down below in the comments showing like anything that you think they should do for the celebration, because I also want this video to kind of be like a beacon to Bilibili, to Sumzap, to be like oh, okay, these are some pretty good ideas that we can do. This is something that we could do for the celebration, just because the player base will really want that. And you know, I feel like the more that we say things as a community, the more that they will look at these things, and the more that they will actually try to put some of those things into effect. But if this stuff made sense to you guys, or if you liked any of the ideas I had here, then definitely go down below and leave a like on the video. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you can also comment down below and let me know what else you would like to see for the 2nd anniversary celebration, or even go and check out my video where I talked about some characters that we can see for the 2nd anniversary. But that is going to be it for your boy, DEADMANVINCE. Remember, the Deadman does love you, Magic Knights, sorcerers, whatever, deadheads. Y'all have an excellent day. Peace out.